Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got only 4 games here for you guys on a Thursday night, but we do have a couple of videos for you about a couple of these games and our player props. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also head to thelines.com. It's Thursday, so the Sweet 16 is back. We've got plenty of college basketball up there on top of all this NBA stuff we're bringing you with these player props and game videos as well. We also have the odds finder tool up there where I was telling you about. Nate and I use that every morning. Make sure we're getting the best odds and juice back on all these bets we're making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's jump through this 4-game slate real quick and then talk about this another doubleheader that we've got here, the Thunder and the Clips.
Yeah, we're talking some rematches here. We also break down Cavs -4 at Brooklyn after they won pretty easily. I mean, almost let it slip late when they were -3 2 nights ago. Then we got the Knicks on a back-to-back. They're -3.5 at Orlando. The Hornets are +9 at Nolans. And the Thunder here +4 at the Clippers. It was around +3. Totals standing pretty steady at 232. And that is where I start for sure. I'm not just basing it on the fact that they only hit 201 on Tuesday in a game that was played with a 95 pace, in a game where both teams shot abysmally from the three-point line. But I guess I am saying that because that's pretty much what you will see when these two teams face each other. I mean, they're kind of like built the same way in the terms of just like endless wings. Not good shooting the three, but also good at limiting what the other one does. Like OKC, only 2 fast break points in that game, only 12 points off turnovers. They're top 5 in both of those things since the All-Star break. OKC only 14 free throws as well, and that's their top 10 in that since the All-Star break. But LA number 4 limiting free throws on the season at home, not getting many free throws on the other end. And so you're looking at a Clippers team that's, of course, now going to be without Paul George probably for the rest of the regular season. Norman Powell still not ready to return. And their last 8 without PG, you can throw out 3 of those games where Kawhi didn't play or other guys didn't play, and they literally just like punted on the second half of back-to-back. Otherwise, they're 3-2. They're still solid, and mostly we've just seen Terrence Mann put his fingerprints all over the game. We are still waiting for his props. I don't understand why at noon we have Mason Plumlee props up at some places, but not Terrence Mann. Like, what are we waiting for, people?
Nate's calling you out, books.
Yeah, but T-Man, 20 PRA, roughly, whatever it is. I think you want to go over that. I mean, he might only have like 9.5 points because he hasn't been playing much lately since they got Russell Westbrook. But I think now he slots into that small forward role, plays a ton without PG. Look at his last 8 without PG, the last 8 competitive ones for the Clippers, the ones they didn't punt. He played 34 minutes, 15 points, 5.5 boards, and had his fingerprints all over, like I'm saying, and it was just really good defense from the Clippers. I mean, he is an energetic guy who's connective on the offensive end, helps them get shots at times, but he's a much better defensive presence. And you look at how they won those games. I mean, the last 5 they were competitive. They all went under, first of all. They went 3-2. And they allowed just 44 points per game in the second half. That's against Atlanta, Dallas, Denver, which is their biggest Achilles heel. Those all went under. So, I mean, you're looking at OKC, again, a team that they match up pretty well against. And a Clippers team that's really going to struggle to score the ball now that Russell Westbrook's your secondary option. That's kind of scary. They're still, at this point, 26th in offensive efficiency at home and points in the paint. And the 4 teams below them are tankers. So, like, you're basically dead last still at home. And what are they now? 9-27 to the over at home. They have gone over in a few recently, but look at who they played. Warriors twice, no defense on the road. Grizzlies pushed the pace. And the Kings, of course, the best offense in the league. And so then let's look at the Thunder recently, their last 6. 4-2 to the under. Those unders have hit by 15 points per game. In the 3 road games, though, 36 points per game they've gone under. They have some stark home road splits, like lots of young teams, score 10 points per game fewer. They're 22nd in offense on the road. But they are pretty good defending the 3-point line. They play at a pace two possessions slower as well. So, I mean, both teams are trending in this direction, definitely to go under. Uh, and the Clippers recently, regardless of where they've been playing, have been going under. I was ready to hit an under no matter who they're playing. And then I see their next 2 games against the Thunder and against the Pelicans. Both of those seem ripe. I mean, we obviously don't have a line for Saturday against the Pelicans, but I'm like, man, I just don't see a lot of points being scored with this Clippers team right now. And I think the pace is going to be even slower without Paul George, or it's going to be even less efficient because Russell Westbrook has the ball in his hands more.
And that's the thing. I mean, what's so interesting is, I mean, Russell Westbrook only got 26 minutes in this last game, and it's still, wasn't enough for him to impact the pace like he normally can, where it's just like, if Russell Westbrook is in the game, then the pace is faster, period. And he's going to get more this game. I still don't think that's enough to overcome the 31 points or 32 points that they went under this total in the last game. And so I'm not really sure what that's about. The Thunder play fast. They play fast everywhere. They want to get it and go and get it right into the paint. They play in a style that is Shai Gilgeous, Jay Williams, and Jalen Williams, Jay Will, and also Josh Giddey. Like those 3 players are going to get it and go. They can all get rebounds and they can all get into the paint and either finish or dish. So, and get to the free throw line. So like, that's even when they were trying to do that last game, it's exactly what the Clippers decided that they were going to focus on. I mean, Ty Lue's a really good coach, and that's what they did. They got back, they stopped those fast break points, and they've been doing that decently well, especially in the last 8-9 games that they've been playing better, and they've been playing like a team that is getting it together a little bit here. But this loss of PG does impact things a few ways to me. I mean, if it's more Terrence Mann and more Russell Westbrook, it's more pace and it's a lot more speed. I think that's why they kept this total high, and I would caution us against getting too comfortable in the thought in the what we just saw and using that as our primary candidate for, or our use case, let's say, for what we're banking on this game and what we think will happen in it. That said, 232.5 still just feels high in a game that, like you said, they know what they are trying to do to stop this Thunder team, that it's like similar to kind of playing the Raptors. You get those hustle points, you crash the boards, you try to get into the paint, you have long rangey guys with a few shooters, but not very many, to be honest. Probably more on this Thunder team. And something that should not be slept on, that I was like watching this last game, the Thunder and the Clippers game a couple nights ago, going, oh yeah, Lou Dort is like really freaking good at defense, and he has not been playing all season. And this Thunder team has just been giving up points all over the place in the shooting guard position, especially where PG is not going to be, plus Lou Dort is going to be. And I finally get to say he's going to be able to put them in the torture chamber again, because he hasn't been playing all season. So with that in mind, he also does help their 3-point shooting. He has not had a good season by any means when he actually has played, but it was much earlier. And there's got to be some positive regression if he's going to be healthy again and has his minutes and his rhythm coming back. There's at least a bit more shooting for him. I say all that to say, like I tweeted yesterday, just blindly slap on the Thunder spread, whatever it is. They hit it 67%. They cover it 67% of the time this year. Obviously best in the league, because we still are just sort of underappreciating what they do. No Norman Powell, no Paul George to me. Like I'm happy to take another Thunder money line on this, unless you think Kawhi is going to go balls to the wall and just go crazy. And if you do think that, which I think, you cautioned against taking any Kawhi overs, even though it's 29.5 points for him tonight, the expectation seems to be this is going to go over because there's be a higher total because of the implementation of more Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann versus a Paul George, and also even maybe taking out a few guys like a Batum or a Mook at sometimes to get a smaller lineup in there. But either way, like I'm not worried about going under 232.5, but I do also really like the Thunder, and will continue to just hit them probably the rest of the season, assuming they're going to continue to cover at a 67% clip.
Yeah, I mean, they might play faster with those 2 guys, but they're certainly not hitting any threes. Their spacing has been awful since they got Westbrook, and they've been struggling from the 3-point line, which is why they've gone under in 5 of these last 6, and at the same time guarding the 3-point line, 3rd best rate. Like I said, the Thunder are the 6th best on the road recently. So, I mean, it's just, it could be a fast game, but neither of these teams are getting to the free throw line either. About dead last in that department is OKC lately. So that's why I think when these teams have gotten together, 3 this season, Two of them were very, very early in the season, and Kawhi didn't play. PG missed one, but they averaged 210. And you look at like the last over they hit, the only reason they aren't like 5-0 to the under in the recent is because there was game 82 last season, and something named Georgios Kalaitzakis started for the Thunder, among others.
Great
so
player.
yeah, that's about what you would expect when the Clips get 138 in that game. But this should be a competitive game, and the Thunder also are dead last in assist rate in this 6-game span. It's all Shea. It's all Shea getting to the line, tricking people as he does with his wonky moves. But the Clippers know him as well as anybody, right? And they do have some good wing defenders still, especially if Terrence Mann is playing more. I mean, we again just wonder why Ty Lue shied away from that when they went 10-4 with him getting a bigger and bigger role. And now his hands forced. Like, he's going to be in there. I think that means much better defense for the Clippers more than anything, which is why I worry about the stars out situation when you said, like, Thunder going to cover, right? Again, I also worry about the young team being on the road, and then anytime they're road favorites, all of a sudden they just flop. So they're only slight dogs here. It makes me think a little bit about them being expected to win this game, about the Clippers being, galvanized on some rate to say we're going to win without PG, who frankly I'm just not a big stan for Paul George. I just don't think he's that important to what they do. I think, yeah, and I worried about a Kawhi under because I think he can pick up the slack and score 30 plus. Dort might be a pretty good defender, but I don't think he's going to be locking up Kawhi.
No. Jalen Williams is going to be the one guarding Kawhi like he did last game for the entirety of the game. I didn't say lock him down. I said the one guarding him. And I know that because I'm going to talk about Jalen Williams in our player props video. And I'm going to bring up the fact that he's going to continue to get close to the 40 minutes that he got in this previous game against them because he spent 70% of the time that Kawhi was on the floor guarding him. And the entirety of the time that Jalen Williams was on the floor guarding him. So, I mean, he did fine last game. I'm not saying he's going to shut Kawhi down. And Kawhi is still capable of going off for 30 against the Rook. But yeah, either way, like it's going to be him guarding him. Look, don't get me started on Russell Westbrook coming to this team because Terrence Mann should be, and you're right. If Terrence Mann comes on and they give him the time, like we know what he's capable of, man. And that was not a pun. I just was comma man. So like, I think at this point you've got to expect him to get his when he's out there. I do agree. There's a little bit of fear that the stars out and the young guys in and sort of the role players in going like, all right, we're going to win this one. We've got the gusto, more so than our starters do. Russell Westbrook cares. He always cares. We know that. And he's going to get probably closer to 35 than the 26 minutes he just saw. So I don't mean to say that means there's going to be a ton more points. I do think it'll be played at a faster pace than like 94 or for 95. Like I think it's going to at least get up to like 97, 98 because Russell helped it get there. But the thing about Paul George is I agree with you. Like Paul George's shot selection has always been bad. His decision making at the end of games, not always great. But he's an incredible defender and always has been. And he's been the guy on Josh Giddey in the 2 games that Josh Giddey's gone up against Paul George. He's gone way under his props versus the one time that Paul George did not play in against Josh Giddey. And then Giddey went off in those other, in that one and had like 18 boards and 10 assists or something like that. So, that's where you worry about him coming out. So once again, I do think there's going to be more points than 201, but I think there's going to be less points than 233. So I still think that total is a bit high. And like I said, maybe the Thunder are not in as good of a situation that they normally would be, where they were plus 6.5, 7.5 when that game started on Tuesday night. But like I said, again, I'm just going to hit them until the end of the season and assume that this 67% clip they're covering at is legitimate. So that is all the time we have for you, though. In this one, make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out the other couple videos we have up for you today, including those player props. And until we see you next, happy betting.